Live. We're good? Am I officially live? I'm trying to see if I'm getting the chat on. Ah, there we are. Okay, open it up here. Oh. There we go. Alright. I apologize for the slight delay. I was getting my water situated. Okay. So. That's slow. Let's start getting my colors. Well, my color. Current plan is an orange. Higher saturation, because this is going to be the outline color anyways. And this can shrink. This can be pixel. There we go. So, the concept I was given for this was a, I guess, I don't think how to describe a thumb wrestling. So, like, it started with hand. From one of my friends, and then another friend came in and said, thumb wrestler. And I was like, okay. I think I can work with that. And the concept I came up with, is this the sketch? Yes. Evolved over time. So this was the initial design. I can do that on screen. Yeah. So this was the original. I was just very loosely, I was like, okay, so what happens if I have my hand like this, you know, and this is like a person? Like, what happens like that? And then I stick the thumb as, like, the top. And then I was like, alright, now I need to start getting a pose. And I was like, that's too wide a stance, and the thumb on the head is, like, too down. And then I was like, oh, let's try this. And then it was like, I don't know, I just wasn't happy with how wide it was again. So I narrowed them out, but I'm like, head too long. And then I got to what we see here, which I'm trying to have him do sort of like the cross flex, where like one arm up, one arm down. I don't know if I'm going to keep that pose or not, but I think I do want to still have that. I think one thing I didn't think about is quite how, like, this arm will go straight, like, straight out. And then this arm doesn't go as straight, but still goes pretty straight, and I didn't really think about that, so in my initial sketch, they're, like, a little, like, up, like, more. Like, this arm goes kind of at, like, this angle instead of at this angle, so I'd, like, tip that in this, but because this one overlaps, I couldn't really do that. So I'm gonna kind of like that. And then my other goal is to kind of like capture, because like when you flex, you don't go like this, you know, and it's only like that really in the sprite, but like it needs to be more like this so that you get this, like, I don't know, little curve there, and the arm goes up. And then I have to kind of replicate that on the other arm too, because it's not just going down. Like, this is almost like an open sort of stance. Like, he's kind of like this, I guess. It's kind of hard to do this when the camera's up there. I don't know. Like, his arm goes down a lot and over his leg, but really it should be going out more, and it should be a tighter curl, you know, more like this. So those are some of the things I'm going to try to fix as I sprite this. Also, like, the way the legs attach here, I'm going to try to extend that outward and maybe like lengthen them slightly to better match the other limbs. We'll see how that goes. Like, this arm also feels like a bit long, so we'll see what I can do. That's what the one thing I forgot to do with prepping was making it have the right number of layers. So I think my first plan is to kind of get an overall body shape sorted out. So I need to kind of this is what I'm currently working with. It's not bad because this part here goes up. So I think having this slightly different shape here works better. And then this one kind of going down, I think works well. Well, these are relatively symmetrical. So this is like a pretty good, not perfect circle shape to me for this overall concept. So I think that's good. So this is the sort of starting base of its body, and then we'll kind of expand out from there. So like, you know, here's the first finger, I suppose. I had initially conceptualized this as a bit of like a, because he's like a sea star, is kind of the idea I had. It was like, how do I make the finger concept work well? And I was like, oh, I could kind of make him like a little sea star. But I think one downside of that that concept is if he's a sea star, he becomes very similar to Graplock, because my plan is for him to be like a pure fighting. I had considered him being like a fighting water type combo. But I think at the end of the day, I settled on not doing it quite like that. So I'm using slightly on my headset, so but we'll see. We'll see where I go with it. So one thing I do want to do is I want to take this as sort of an idea of how big I want each of the limbs to be in its entirety. So I think one thing I want to do, I'm going to rotate this. And we're going to do that as a... Yeah. I'm just going to repair that slightly and thin it, because these ones aren't going to be coming towards the camera, so they don't need to be as thick. Because he is flexing, like, they kind of bulge out a bit more. All right, and then if I do this as a 90-degree rotation, it should translate perfectly. And I'm trying to think, so like when you flex like this, it's the upper arm that comes down and kind of overlaps. So it's actually this that I think I want to emphasize as the part coming down. Then I'm going to take that, copy it, Wow. And I take this, put it over here. I think it's slightly low of an angle because when you do this, it goes. Well, I guess it does go down a bit. I can stick that. I want this to be slightly behind the body because he's no like that. It doesn't make sense in my sketch for it where it's kind of on the front. So I need to put it slightly behind everything else of the body. And then we can take this one and I can flip it like that. And this one can be slightly. I think so. When someone does this, this one goes straight out a bit. So I think I do want to change the angle slightly on that. And this one goes a little down. So yeah, I want to change the angles slightly. And to do that, I'm just gonna do this. It gives it more of a sense of like there's like almost a bicep flex, but it's really like when you like scrunch your thumb, there's like a little bit of a. It doesn't form the same shape, but like it, it deforms the skin there a little bit. So now I can take this one. And this one's going to also go slightly more extreme angle, I think. I'm trying to think, and when someone does this flex, I'm gonna have to look up actual human reference. Need the one where the arm goes down. So on a bodybuilder, I want to see the one where they do one up, one down, because that's a very specific arm angle. No, I do not want an AI generated one. Yes, Buzz. He goes Wallum. I'm just like looking for the right reference. I don't know what the name of the pose is, so I can't find it other than just going like bodybuilder flexing. You know what? This is Fire Temple Tears of the Kingdom. That makes sense. I was gonna say, I was like, this sounds familiar. Yeah, I just was hearing it, and I've been watching the Game Grumps Tears of the Kingdom series recently. I've just gotten to like the Fire Temple part. Up, one arm down. I'm gonna see if I can find it by doing that additional description. Why won't you give me the exact pose I'm thinking of? Oh man. I wish I like knew the name of this specific flex, because this is like a real flex, because there's like there's the both arms up, there's the both arms down. There's the one arm up and the one arm down. And I don't know the name of it. See, this is the thing where it's like I don't know enough about the name. Like I don't know enough about what I'm looking up to know how to search for what I'm thinking of. It's like, oh man. Because like that's one of the big things in any field is there's like when you're smart enough with like a subject to know what to search for, and that's honestly more useful in most cases than knowing just a few small things. What, Buzz? Come here. Come here. What you screaming about? Well, I can't find reference, so I'm stuck trying to figure this out. Does this look good? This way. If I have this one in front here, I think that looks fine, but I do want to kind of adjust the overall structure of it to account for that. I do kind of like the shaping feeling more fingery, so I'm gonna do that as well for that one. I'm gonna go one higher here. Yeah. Okay, that's good enough. All right. I want them to kind of attach towards the outside. Okay, so I have the arms. Kind of doing what I was thinking of. Yeah, that looks a lot better than those. That's a lot better. And then for the legs, I kind of want a similar vibe. I'm going to copy this again, take it out. So I think what I kind of have to do is I have to straighten this. Biggest difficulty is like I don't want it to become too wide of a stance. Rotate this slightly and then kind of repair the damage that rotation does. That's still, that just makes, yeah. Okay, so I need to actually rotate it more than I did. Rotate this maybe like 45 degrees. See, but now it's like so sideways. I think what I want to do, I'm going to try to get the foot part where it needs to go. And then I can sort of define the rest of the See, it's like, I feel like it's getting too tight together. I'm not too careful with it. I'm going to select all this, copy it, we're going to flip it. This is the other thing, is I want this to feel very symmetrical. And then I'm just going to try to like tweak some of the angling some, because now this is sort of at a wider angle. So I need to kind of do that. This one needs to go in one. Got that. And I'm going to take that. And this is... Yeah. Yeah, that works pretty well. That's... I think I want to move him like one higher with it. If I move him one higher, might work, right? Okay, maybe I should just have it merge a little. Yeah, because this almost has like he's like, I don't know. He's stanced up. He's ready to go. Honestly, I really like... So if you compare... This is the old silhouette. This is the new silhouette. He's a lot more lively looking. I don't know, he's thicker. Because that was one thing, it's like, he's all thumbs, is the other thing. It's not... There's no other fingers involved here, it's all thumbs. So I wanted him to have some, like, girth. Because thumbs are, like, thicker than other fingers. So I don't want him to be, like, scrawny, I guess. He's also a fighting type, like, he's meant to look a little bit muscular. Do you want to widen that slightly? I think that's not bad. I might replace that with a spot of shadow instead. For now, that's pretty good. And then at the center of all this is an eye. I think I want it to be slightly larger than I had it. So one thing, and this is something I think it was Sakurai who mentioned it, in pixel art, circles work best when they're an odd number. And that was something I hadn't thought about much, but if I do a 6x6 circle, it looks like this. If I do a 7x7, it looks like that. If I do an 8x8, it looks like this. And if I do a 9x9, it's like that. It's like they all work, but the roundest feeling ones, when you zoom out, are always the odd numbers. And I never thought about that, but it makes sense, because it's like, if you want something to feel circular, you need to have like the right, I don't know, the right amount of I guess circular, I don't know what to call it, like the right proportion, I guess, to the curve of it all. And you don't want it to feel, because odd ones can almost feel like you're trying to do a diamond, or sorry, even ones can almost feel like you're trying to do a diamond. Like if I do like there's like a 4x4 circle, this is just a rounded square. It works as a circle, but it feels like a rounded square. And as you expand that concept, you know, if I was to do it like this, now I've made a diamond. Which I guess, what is this? Yeah, because I've expanded too, so this is what, 6x6? Yeah, 6x6. Gotta shrink that in. Make the image larger. There we go. But yeah, like it gives this vibe that it's almost a diamond. And if you want it to not feel like a diamond, you can expand it outwards, and now you've got another rounded square. At a large enough scale, you can definitely do a circle that's a you know, like an even number. But at a small scale, it definitely almost always works best if you're doing it more or less in a like odd numbered fashion. Look at that. Let's expand it out more. Feels too wide or too steep an angle. Okay, that's not too bad. Thank you. I can't say there's been a show where I felt that way. I've had shows that I just wasn't as interested in that other people were really into. Like around me. But I've never, I don't know, there's not many things I despise too much. Like, I've had ones where I was just like, I'm not into it, or, you know, I don't enjoy it as much. I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, as someone who was, like, never particularly, like, interested as a kid in, like, sports. How's that? Does this do anything for it? Honestly, I kind of like that. I'm gonna keep that. As someone who was like never particularly into like sports and stuff as a kid, a lot of people were like, "Oh, this is, you know," like everyone would be talking about it. Like every Monday, I'd come in, people would like be talking about American football, and be like, "Oh, did you see yesterday's game? Oh boy, can't wait for the Monday night football game," or whatever. I had no clue what they were talking about. But I don't know. I've had cases where like people were really into a show that I was like, I guess just like uncomfortable with the concept of, but at the same time, like I don't judge too much. Yeah. And I mean, it's frustrating though when it's like, if you're not into a show and like your family loves it, you have to just deal with the fact that they're going to be talking about it a lot. They're going to be wanting to watch it a lot. You're just gonna be sitting there like, I don't care for this. Like, what are you talking about this for? Can we talk about any other show or movie or anything right now? Like, I don't know. I've had that happen a little bit. It's mostly been with like friend groups though, where it's like, oh, a ton of people are really into this like one anime that I didn't watch. Like for the longest time, I hadn't watched like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and I was really not into JoJo. Early on, I was like, this doesn't make much sense to me. I had to like watch it from the beginning at some point because like people would watch like random. I'd like be there and people would be watching like part 3 or something, and I'm like, I have no clue what's happening. And at first, I was really frustrated by how random and confusing the show was, and then I realized that's kind of its appeal as I watched it myself, and got caught up. But for the longest time, like, people would be just like talking about JoJo. I'm like, I don't know what this means. I don't know what you're talking about. And I just like I felt like I couldn't say anything because it just wasn't. Everyone wanted to talk about something I had no interest in. But like nowadays, I guess I do have an interest in it, but. Temporarily, it's gonna be true white. That's rough. Alright, this is gonna be. Well, I suppose I could do. This is 85. I could do this as 70, which is a little close for comfort, but that's okay. So that's 80. Oh wait, you know what? I'm realizing. Oh no, I went the right way. Never mind. So this part here. Trying to like find the way this needs to be shaded. I should probably be doing this after adding details, but I'm like, I'm in the shading zone now. I think, yeah, I want this to be, at that point, you get like a little bit of shadow. Not a ton there. This part. Yeah, that overdoes it a bit. So one thing I do kind of want to do is I want this to have as an accent color little fingernails. That's where it becomes cursed. Oh my god, he's so gross. I love him. Did I do that a little further up like that? I think that, yeah. No, I think that. Yeah. Oh, how do I do that? Yeah, I guess that works best at that. Trying to think what color those should be. I guess I could just make them like light color. This. That is a little almost grimy. Let's go lower and brighter. Okay, and then we can go to that and okay. This is so strange. I do that. No, I do need that like slight angle there. If I did it like this, maybe I could do that. No, that does not work. No. I do feel like I want it to... I don't know. I think that's fine for now. All right. All right. I want to do a narrower eye or a wider eye. I think I do like the circular eye for this. But I could do so we're gonna need that. Like that, maybe? That's too big. That's too much. Yeah. That's one way to do it. Just rip up the script, Deadpool style. Actually, no. Never mind. He did not... he just shoots himself. Kind of. Does not get rid of the script. I don't know why I was like, doesn't he like show up and like take the script and get rid of it? No. He just kills Ryan Reynolds. So I guess don't do it Deadpool style. Alright. I need to... This stick over here too. That is both illegal and petty, yes. Yeah, we do not condone murder on this channel. So definitely do not take the Deadpool route. About just about anything, honestly. The official "don't be Deadpool" statement. Deadpool is cool, and Deadpool is funny, but he's also fictional, and that's what makes him cool. Deadpool would be considerably less cool as a real person. Nah, that's honestly, I feel like that's a lot of. It's honest. It's Digimon is a lot of people's first introduction to a lot of computer terms. So I would not be surprised if there's a significant number of people who like have a number of things that they learned about computers just because they watched Digimon. You know. All right, look at that. Honestly, I like this little guy. As I'm doing more on him, he looks nicer and nicer to me, and I'm happy with that because the concept I was worried wouldn't come out as good, but he's really shaping up. I mean, in the way that they're depicted in the show, not really. Um, like, effectively, I mean, if you think about sort of where we are with like sort of like the types of AI models we use right now, they aren't too dissimilar in concept where, you know, they're learning, but they're not really comprehending models. And I think that's something where AI will sort of have to come a little further before we'll see anything that's... I just get rid of that. And then do this. Yeah, it looks a little better. But yeah, if you look at like where current AI models are, they are like sort of learning algorithms. Their whole premise is like taking in information and spitting out something sort of based on that information. They haven't reached a point where they understand that information, which like I would say Digimon are at the point where they understand that. They have like a... They're basically, you know, they're living beings. They're just digital rather than physical. Probably not. Modern AI, like learning algorithms, there is a newer subset that's getting easier to run, but they are so heavy, and like it is basically impossible to run them if you don't have like a really good processor or a really good graphics card, something that can perform the number of mathematical calculations they need to perform. And that's really something that's only been possible recently. Like, you could do something similar to a degree, but there's definitely... You'll see the limits very quickly if you try. And that's not necessarily, like, by a ton. Like, I would say... It depends on how far back in time you go. Like, if you were to take something like ChatGPT and you tried to run it on a server in 2005, you probably could. If you tried to run it on your own computer or like on someone else's computer, it definitely wouldn't. Like, that would be too much for them to computationally handle. But at the same time, you know, it wouldn't be entirely impossible. Hypothetically, you could go back and run a modern AI on a sufficiently strong older computer, and it also depends on like how far back you go. So like if you went back to like say the 90s or early 2000s, kind of like the Digimon era, like you hypothetically could run it on a server. The biggest difficulty with really anything that's tied to neural networks is just the sheer amount of power they need. You have two options. Like hypothetically, if you ran a small portion on every single person on the internet's computer and they each transferred a little bit of data, you might be able to get it to work, but it'll be pretty rough. Not as we currently have. I think AI right now, because the thing is, like, AI could become sentient much faster than I think it would become sapient. Sentient being like aware of yourself, and sapient being like aware of yourself in the grand scheme of the world. Like, I don't know, like human level consciousness, or like significantly smarter than the average animal level consciousness. And I don't think AI is getting to the level of like sapience anytime soon. Like hypothetically it could, but I'm not convinced that that would be happening yet. Like maybe someday. And that's kind of the biggest thing that's holding back the idea that you know, AI could overthrow us. Is like right now AI can't even think. It doesn't know anything. That's the biggest thing. Is like a lot of people think like when they hear AI, they're like, oh, it works like AI in shows and in movies, and it doesn't. That's like currently impossible. It's much stupider, to put it bluntly. Hypothetically, if you were to get a sufficiently intelligent AI and it was sapient, it was fully aware, it would be able to form its own thoughts and opinions at that point. And an AI like that, I would say yes, could you would see like sides be taken if there was an AI rebellion. Like if you look at like a lot of more recent interpretations of like AI takeovers of the world, like look at something like Overwatch, something recent. It happened because there were a few what they called God AIs, which were basically human level intelligences. They were their own people, and they were programmed with certain tasks. And the way the Omnic uprising happened was the Omnics weren't that level of intelligent, but there was one, or I guess they weren't even fully that level. They were almost that level. Like there was so like the God AIs weren't 100% people-like, but they were close. They were close enough that you would maybe think, but they didn't have emotion. They didn't feel, but they thought and they understood. So like Anubis, which was tasked with environmental care and making sure that the environment was safe, decided humans are the problem. Humans are why the environment isn't perfect. So if we just kill every last one of them, the Earth will be at its healthiest. And there was another AI, her name was Aurora. She was the first one that had feelings. And she had like meditated. She was trying to figure out, like, because she was the first one that was like a person. There was nothing that had ever existed like her in the universe. And that's a really odd place to be as a sentient being with thoughts and feelings and emotions. And so like people reached out to her and were like, hey, you're like the only one who can stop what's happening, we think. And she like uploaded her consciousness into every single AI in the universe, like of Overwatch. Like all of the Omnics were one with her for a split second, and in the process she died and like created basically their version of like heaven, which is the Iris. And basically they all joined consciousness for a split second and then became individuals like she was. And so like that's a case where you have super high level AI and you have one that disagrees with what the other one's doing. Granted, she was the only one who had emotions in that scenario. So I think you see that more in like modern interpretations rather, because if all of these sufficiently intelligent AI are being controlled by one thing, there's really only one intelligence, and it's not the same as like them being individuals. I do not detest the use of AI. I don't like the current way it's been done. I think that current AI, and I hesitate to call it AI because that paints a picture that it really doesn't deserve to have painted with it. It's a buzzword, really. It's not actually artificial intelligence. Actually, keep that word. It is and it isn't. AI is a very complex thing. So the way we think of AI, we think of like human level intelligence, and that if you use that term, then we have never even gotten close to AI. What we actually have is what we call SI, or simulated intelligence, which is just another, it's just a peg down But then there's also the really broad term AI, which can mean any time a computer makes a decision for itself. And that's another one where it's like that, that's a little too loose. But if you count it that way, then yes, like modern AI is AI. But if you don't, it's not. But I'm getting a little pedantic with it. Like, I think that the current uses of AI, the biggest problems that we face from them are with image generation algorithms or music generation algorithms or voice cloning algorithms. One, a lot of them are trained on data that was acquired illegally. They are made using copyright infringement of a number of artists, some that are completely independent, some that are very famous, and I care less about the ones who are very famous or are like companies producing things like. But my larger issue is when it's using the work of individuals, who, especially those who own the rights to their own works. That's really lame. Like if someone trained an AI without my permission on like my sprite work, I would be really upset. I wouldn't be happy with that because I put a lot into my sprite work and I care a lot about it. OBS has said it was disconnected for a second. Oh, are we back? OBS is back. How many frames did I drop? Any? It says I didn't drop frames. I don't believe you, OBS. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like, a lot of people have sort of fallen for the corporate buzzword AI that's been going around. But I'm not fully a fan of it. Like, I'm not against it in theory. I'm against how it's currently being applied, I guess. But I think I don't fear, like I don't fear the idea that it would replace human jobs. I think that the current way we have the economy of the world set up, it would be awful to replace the human jobs with AI, because one of the biggest things is a lot of jobs exist just to pay people money. We could replace a lot of jobs. Like my own job, like the job I have right now, could realistically be replaced with AI very easily. There are some companies that have done that, but I don't think that's necessarily an inherently bad thing. I think it's a good thing if AI replaces jobs that people don't want to do. The jobs that, people have to do, whether they like it or not. And I think AI is at its best when it's replacing those jobs, the jobs that people don't really want to do, but they do because they need a job. And I think that the biggest issue from all that is if you create a market where there's only so many jobs and they're all skilled jobs, or all jobs that are driven by passion, you're going to have a market where you don't have an economy that's paying enough people. And then that creates its own problems of, well, if you're not paying enough people, if you don't have enough people working then your economy is going to crash, because you have a lot of people who are going to become broke. They're not going to be able to afford rent or mortgages or things like that, and groceries. And you're going to see a lot of homeless people show up, just from jobs not existing. The job market won't be able to support people. And I think that can be addressed through things like universal basic incomes in areas where there aren't enough jobs for the population currently there. That's had to become a thing, and it works in those scenarios. And so I think it's a good thing if AI replaces some jobs. I don't think it's good if it's replacing the jobs of artists, people who have a job because they're passionate about it, because they're skilled and care about it. I'm not a fan of that. Like, I don't like AI voice cloning if someone's permission hasn't been given. I think it's I'm divided when it's someone who's really famous, or like a politician, Because then it's like at some level you could kind of consider it a bit of like, well, yeah, I'm cloning their voice and that's clearly them, but it's a bit of it's meant to be parody, but it can also be used for like awful disinformation campaigns, making people say things that they didn't say or putting people in positions they were never in. And I think that has a problem. I think that like overall AI needs to be sort of regulated in its current form. I think it's a bit too, I guess, too lax right now. In some ways, there's a lot of freedoms that these companies have, a lot of protections that they're given that I don't think they really need or deserve right now. I think they should have more accountability for criminal actions. Like if someone uses Midjourney to create revenge porn, I think it should be Midjourney who can be sued, as well as the creator, because I think it should be in place that Midjourney should be able to detect those things and say, no, we won't make that. I think that at some level, those models are sort of in a dangerous space where they can too easily be used to ruin someone's life. I mean, we have scammers that are taking, like people's voices, from phone calls. Like they give someone else a spam call and someone goes like, hello, hello, and then they hang up. And they're taking those calls and they are using them to make a voice model that's close enough to someone's voice. And then they're calling their relatives and using it to like scam people. And it's like, it's so awful. And it's like, I think those are the cases where it's like, I would love to see AI be better regulated. Like Joe Biden did like heavily support a bill that I think got through fully that, had some AI controls in place. And like we're seeing like the Screen Actors Guild taking some somewhat of a stance. It's a bit like soft of a stance against AI, softer than a lot of people in the industry wanted. But yeah, it's definitely, I think one thing is it's here to stay for the most part. I don't think it's going to go away. And some people really want it to, and I don't think it ever will. I think AI is here for better or for worse. And I think what we need to do now is get to a level where we're regulating, we're getting an understanding of what we can hold the companies making it accountable for, making sure that it's being made ethically. Like, I think if you are making tools with AI that are actually solving problems, you're doing something amazing. There was an animation AI that I heard about through Rubber Rust that basically you like color one frame of animation and then you have like the line art for the rest of it, and the AI just goes through and takes the colors from the first frame and applies it to the other frames that you have. And that just saves so much time. Like that is a useful use of AI. That's awesome for people because it just allows them to do more of what they love, which is the actual animation. Animators don't like coloring book. That's not their job. Their job is not to color inside the lines all day. But there are people whose job is literally to color inside the lines all day. And I think AI replacing that need is awesome. Like that's such a great use for AI. Because now you're benefiting people's lives through AI, and that's something that's cool. That's awesome. That's something we should have. A little too much. I'll keep it like that. I have room for more color, so I think I do want to add darker one that's more saturated and There we go. That's pretty good. That is kind of funny. Are you like talking about like no copyright sounds? Mikey, it's going pretty good. I got my thumb wrestler mostly done. I think it's fine. I don't care too much because it's, you know, they're replicating like music labels music, and just in ways that people can use in their own stuff. And I think that's all right because it's like it's a music label. I'm not too wholeheartedly against or for it, but I think it's nice for, you know, content creators to be able to use, you know, something that sounds good, because I feel like a lot of like royalty-free music just generally isn't as good, and I feel like it's because people are like, well, if I'm making it for royalty-free, I don't want it to be as good. I think of this guy as almost like a little bit more of a like WWE style wrestler. Like he's very bodybuildery, very like, look at me, I'm a hand. And then I have an idea for how it would evolve, because I think this would be like a one of two stages Pokemon. The second stage being something that I think was gonna be had mentioned, where it was like, oh, it's a you know, like each finger is a different consciousness, and it's the idea of like, you know, those like little like mini hands where you stick the hands on each finger. It would be like that, where there'd be like one of these guys at the end of this like larger conglomerate hand, and they each have a consciousness. So it's like a much more cursed version of Barbarical, I guess. Yeah, and then I had considered the possibility of like splitting it a bit, and doing one where it's like that, and then another one where it's just like two hands, like these guys. Yeah, he is a starfish made of thumbs. That is his concept. Literally, I was like, his name. Wait, where is it? So his name is Rastel, or Rastel, from Rassel and Stellar, because he's a starfish kind of dude. Wait, let me see. What is Graplocked as a Pokemon? Like, is he a heel? Because I know he's a wrestler. Graplocked. Well, I guess he does Jujutsu. He has a wrestling mask, so I don't know. I feel like he's more of a wrestler. What? That was a thing? Apparently in the US, there was octopus wrestling in the 60s, in which a diver would grapple a large octopus in shallow water to drag it to the surface. That is crazy. That was a thing people did? That's so weird to me. Okay. Okay. The things I learned looking at the Graplocked page on Bulbapedia. See, what I want to see... I feel like he gives, like, villain vibes, so I kind of imagine this thing being, like, its face. Though, I don't know, he does look a little mean, so maybe he could be the the heel. Even though he's not really a heel, he's a hand. The 60s is very wild. All right, now I can delete this. Reindex without that card. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good now. Louder music. I could turn up the volume on this music, but I am almost done, unfortunately, so I can't save you from the pain of the show for too much longer. Oh wait, you know what? Actually, I could I could this entire part there a little lighter. Yeah. Is there anywhere I want to add this color? Does that do anything there? Not really. You know what? Honestly, here maybe. Could add a little bit. Be there. Add a little more dimensionality to them. Just a hint. I have not come up with an ability. I think Scrappy would probably be one of them. I think that would be funny. Like this just thing, because I just imagine him like thumb wrestling and like trying to pin things. So I like the idea of it seeing like a ghost and just running up and immediately trying to like pin a Ghastly, and it's trying to escape by like splitting off into gas, and it's just getting pressed down. And it's like I can't get out. Is there an ability that makes throwing moves do more damage? I don't think there is. That would be a fun one. Just save this sprite. Desktop, my sprites. Type challenge hero. This is Rastel. Pure fighting. Not the shiny. Oh, I do have to do his shiny, actually. Yes, he would literally just roll up into a ball and do the punching moves. Like, he would also learn rollout. But yeah, he would just roll into a ball to punch. Yeah, he would learn his... Oh my god, it would be really funny if he had Iron Fist. Oh, that would be a funny one. That would be like a hidden ability. Just because it would be funny. Alright, I need to look up abilities. I need to see all abilities, please. List of abilities. Ooh, I could see it evolving to have like huge power, but I feel like that would be broken because he's a hand that would have high attack, I would imagine. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Actually, I know. All right, I think I've figured it out. He would have Scrappy and Arena Trap. That would be it. Scrappy and Arena Trap. He pins you in place. You can't leave. He just holds you there and just keeps punching. So it's like Diglett's thing. He just can't leave. I need to stop making small tweaks before I go too crazy with it. All right. Trying to think of what I want the other palette to be. Because I knew I wanted him to be orange. Because I didn't want it to be too close to like a skin tone that like is particularly common. Like I didn't want him to be like white or like to have him be like black or anything. I wanted him to be like a fighting type color. So like I want him to be like orangish. Which like is kind of skin tony. But I didn't want him to be like too like, oh, he's clearly this race, you know? But I could make the other one, because I guess this one is like middle light color. I could make the other one darker, but like a weird color. Oh, you know what? I can look up what's a good sea star color. I want to find a sea star because he is, you know, sea star orange kind of. So if I find like another sea star, his color could be based on that. There are purple and blue ones. But then I feel like he gets too close to something like a Graplocked or a like Marini line. Yeah, they seem to mostly be like oranges, reds, and then like the occasional purple or blue. I could make him purple, I guess, but like... Yeah, no, he's such a great way to like mess with someone who has a ghost type. Because like literally, you don't know which one he has unless you try. I don't know if it tells you if someone has Arena Trap until you try to switch out, or if it just says like, oh, you're trapped. Can't switch. I feel like he'd also, like at an early level, he would have like Wrap and Bind, moves like that also hold you in place, which would be a little redundant with Arena Trap, but I don't see it being something that would keep using those moves as time went on. So this is going to be darker and less saturated. All right, this is the lighter one, so I need to go lighter. Let's go darker. Yeah. Now he looks like what's the zombie dude's name from League? Buff Zombie Man. You know, he reminds me of him. Dr. Mundo? He's not really a zombie. It's like League Hulk. Make it a purple. We did do that in the Fakemon game. We had a like pink versus like blackish brown hand. But I want this one to be less. That's because that's too easy. That's such an easy concept. So I'm making him purple. I'm gonna change his fingernail color too. Because now I'm like, oh, he's like a zombie hand. Oh, honestly, Shadow Puppet is a really good idea for the shiny. Which I guess fits the like purpler, bluer color scheme. Yeah, let me move it. I'm gonna move it to an even more blue direction. So that's gonna be like 235. So this will be 230, or sorry, 240. And then this will be 5. Yeah. That honestly would be. I guess we do kind of have a puppeteer Pokemon, but he's not a dark type, I don't think. Alright, I want this to go kind of into the gross color range that I had. I was like, I don't like that. That's a little gross looking. I'm gonna go for that range. Like a slightly greenish white. Honestly, if it had an ability that just like I guess this would be a bit broken if it had an ability that would just copy every move an opponent did, but like maybe an ability that is similar to Dancer, but it just does like, but for any like physical move or something, it just immediately uses it, or any status move, or any stat boosting move. How about that? It copies every stat boost the opponent does by copying the moves. Like they'll do it, and then like their shadow's doing it too. So it's like, oh, Swords Dance? Swords are spinning around me too. And then it just copies your stat boosts. And then hits you back with that. It's basically Mirror Herb the Pokemon. That is Snatch, but as a as an ability rather than a move. But that's like a really strong one, so that would be like its hidden ability, and it would still learn Snatch. Yeah, as an ability. Because it's similar to what Dancer does, except Dancer also works for some damaging moves, which I learned by trying to use Aqua Step on an Oricorio, and then it did Aqua Step back and killed me because I had 1 hit point. You live and you learn, I suppose. Alright, I'm gonna make the eye. I don't think eye to be purple. It doesn't stand out enough that way. I'm gonna make the eye blue. I feel like I did Dark. I think Dark was on this row. Let's see. Who was Dark? Yeah, Dark was Garobi. What types do I have left? I need to check the thing. Actually, I guess I have to look at the thing anyways to do this. So let's find out. Sprites. Yeah. Who's next? So yeah, the next row. The next row is the odd ones. It could use more metal pipe. Yeah, so the next row is ground, poison, ice, rock, dragon, and fairy. Which is like, it's all the ones that didn't fit in the other one, because it's like, oh, the top row feels like starting area Pokemon. And starters, you know, you have grass, fire, water, and then you have normal flying bug. The things you'll like, everyone experiences at the start of a game. Then the next row is like electric, steel, ghost, dark, psychic, fighting. Which like goes through fighting feels like this is all the ones that are like this. Like, I don't know, because it's like I see fighting as a counterpart to psychic, but dark is also a counterpart to psychic, and it's also a counterpart to ghost. So it's like those four all feel like they belong there. And then it's like ground, poison, ice, rock, dragon, fairy. Just, the rest of them. I have to figure out, how's this guy gonna stick out of his thing? I think I'll have his arm pop out a little bit on the side. Yeah. I didn't sort it this way. This is how they were sorted by Bromo Jumbo. How are they sorted? Now I'm curious, how are they sorted in Pokemon Violet? If I look at the like TM machine, I can see that list. You know, yeah, I do think I have to go to the TM machine. Oh, the nearest one. Is there one here? I think there's one of the plazas. Okay. I want to see, because I'm curious if he just looked at the list and like sorted based on that, or if it was like he was on like a website and did it. I'm curious. Maybe he just did it however he felt it. No, there's one at the main plaza. Ugh. I have to go all the way over there to figure out what type order this had. I want a TM made. Okay. No, it's not, because it goes... That goes normal, fire, water, electric, grass, ice, fighting, poison, ground, flying, psychic, bug, rock, ghost, dragon, dark, steel, fairy. Which I think that's probably based on the internal IDs. Because normal makes sense to be first, because that was probably... basically the original default, yeah. Because the original game was being developed before they had types. And then you have your starters plus Pikachu. It's funny that electric came before grass in the IDs. I feel like you would group the starter types. But I guess it was probably before they had that idea. And then, yeah, it makes sense, because then dark, steel, fairy are last. So yeah, I feel like this is probably just however he felt it. Like, fair enough. That's what I'd probably do if I was making something like this. But I forgot to put my little dude up on the stream. I'm gonna put his sprite up here. I'm gonna visible. He's so small. And then shiny. Oh, he blends in. He's camouflaged in the shiny. It's not exactly the same color. I specifically made sure he was not. But... Oh, physical first, then special. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Like in like the pre-Gen 4 systems, to like if you're trying to conceptualize, it'd be like, oh, here's all the physicals, here's all the specials. That makes sense. But that's going to be the end of this stream, because I've done the sprite. I am actually really happy with how this guy turned out compared to his original sketch. Because, like, again, his sketch is in a much less fun pose. Like, or a much less good version of this exact same pose. So, I'm happy with how he turned out. He's much better, and his eye is bigger, which makes me happy because he's small. And I don't know, I like when a Pokemon has a big eye. Big eye Pokemon, good Pokemon. Or very, very small eye, I suppose. You know, things like where it's just like a little tiny dot on their big dumb head. That's also good. But anyways, I'm going to be wrapping up today's stream here. So thank you so much if you joined me live or after the fact. Either way is cool with me as long as you had some fun. That said, I am going to go do human things as humans do, and you probably should too. So thank you so much. He has one eye. Just the one on the palm. It's the worst place. It's the worst place for an eye, and I think that's what makes it funny. Because it's like, you could put one on the back, but no. That's where he has one eye. He doesn't have a mouth. Maybe he has a mouth on the back. Which is probably more cursed, honestly. But yeah, he just has an eye on the front. I know, he could be Naruto style where he has the mouth on the back. But, yeah, I'm gonna head out. So, goodbye. Thanks for joining. And you'll be seeing more of the posts of them in the Discord. So.